I wrote as my senior thesis in college a really awful literary novel. I mean, just smoking crater bad. And I had an interesting experience with that. Being completely clueless and arrogant at 21 years old, I sent it out. I sent the first chapter out to some really high-powered literary agents. One of them actually was kind enough to respond to me and say, "Hey, this is pretty interesting, and you took the time. You know, I can't believe you just sent it out like this, but I'd like to see the rest of it." And I waited every day in grad school for that letter back that said, "Yes, I will, take you on as a client," and it never came. And while that was disappointing, I'm not going to lie to you and say, "Oh, it's really good that it happened that way," because those were long walks to the mailbox every day, and much longer walks back. But it was important because I don't think I would have understood how hard it is to write a book and put a book together if I had been a 21-year-old wonderkind. When I first came up with the idea, I still thought of it maybe as an idea for TV or movie. It seemed to lend itself really well to the screen. And my script agents at the time just said, "That's awful. Vampires are over. It's never going to happen. This is a terrible idea. No one will want ever to see this." And I was like, okay. And then the WGA writer's strike hit. So I couldn't even fail at being a screenwriter anymore. I couldn't actually even try to sell stuff. And my wife and I had a baby on the way, and we just bought a new house, and I decided that this was going to be my half-court shot, my Hail Mary pass, whatever you want to call it. It was either this or I was going to go work at Starbucks or 10 Bar someplace. And so I liked the idea, and it stuck with me long enough, and I couldn't get rid of it or get it out of my head. So I just went back to it, and I said, I'm going to write it as a book, and I'm going to put everything in the book that I want to see. And at least if at the end I have to go, and get a real job, then at least I'll have written something I really like, as opposed to trying to craft something for an audience of development executives or producers. I would have told you I didn't like vampires. I would see when I was a kid, I was always scared of them. And but I watched all of the Hammer horror films. I watched the old Universal horror movies. I would say I didn't like them because they scared me. But I still read the Marvel comics, Tomb of Dracula, and I was fascinated with them, but I never thought of them as tragic or tortured. I was there to be frightened, and then I wanted to see them get a stake through the heart. And I kind of wanted to bring that back. I realized that vampires were on the upswing, even though this was just before Twilight, the movie, and the huge phenomenon that it became. But I realized that people were into them, and that it was becoming a big trend in literary circles. I kind of went for that despite it, because like I said, would have told you I didn't like them. But I wanted my vampire to be scary. I wanted it to be back to the idea of them as inhuman predators. I'm a big fan of Gregory MacDonald, the guy who wrote the Fletch books, and all the thriller writers who, Philip Marlowe, all of the guys who used James Ellroy too especially, but used short, sharp paragraphs to deliver the narrative in really quick bursts. It's meant to be a fun book. It's meant to be active and and a wild ride and everything. So I wanted to keep people propelling through it very quickly. And in the end, it is it's a movie. It's a book that's trying to be an action movie in literary form in some ways. The great thing about it, though, is that I got to put in everything I wanted to put in, and I got to paint the picture that I wanted to put on the page myself. So I just wanted I wanted essentially to keep pummeling the reader in some ways and keep them rolling forward with it. Writing is taking all of your most precious ideas, all of the things you hold dearest to you, and putting all of your heart and soul into an effort, and going out and constructing the best possible thing you can, and then failing. And after it's done, you get back up, you pick yourself up, and you fail better the next time. I think we have this enormous fear of failure in our culture, and failure is the only way we learn. And I mean, I hated it. I hated every moment of it. I'm not going to lie about it. I thought I was doing everything wrong, and I seriously considered giving it up. But I was willing to take that last shot. So it can happen. It's possible. But you have to be prepared for all of the not unmitigated failure, but mitigated failure that will come your way. And you have to just pick yourself up, fail better the next time.